Welcome back to another conference tournament prediction video, and today we are doing Arch Madness, also known as the Missouri Valley. We're going to be predicting every game in this conference tournament, and this is probably the biggest, or maybe not the biggest, but at least the most skilled, I would say. Probably the best conference we've covered so far. So this is going to be a very exciting video. Make sure you subscribe. We got plenty of conference tournament prediction videos already out. Make sure you go check those out, and we're doing all 31 in total, so make sure you subscribe if you are new. But let's go ahead and look at the bracket. We got a nice 12-team bracket here, and starting off the 8-9 game Southern Illinois taking on Indiana State. Now, Indiana State not as good as they were last season, but I will go ahead and take them here in this first game. I think offensively they're a little bit too much. These two teams are pretty similar. Southern Illinois actually a little bit more well-rounded, but I like Indiana State's offense. They got a top 140 offense in KenPom, and they're actually a top 10 team in terms of pace. They like to play very fast. They've actually played some teams in this conference, some of the best teams in this conference, very close. So I think they get it done over Southern Illinois just because of that fast-paced style. The 5-12 game, Illinois State versus Missouri State. I like Illinois State here pretty clearly. Illinois State is a team that I actually think is kind of being counted out a little bit. They have some pretty solid wins in this conference. They're actually in Torvik. They kind of go back and forth with Belmont there as the fourth highest team. KenPom has Belmont ahead. Torvik has Illinois State. But Illinois State, top 75 offense in the country. I don't think Missouri State really has enough. They only have 2 wins in conference. They're closing out the season on a 5-game losing streak. I'm going to go ahead and take Illinois State here. They've been pretty solid. They're 18-13 on the season. So I'll go ahead and take them there to the quarterfinals. Missouri State taking on Evansville. And from everything that I've seen, Evansville is kind of, it looks to be, at least numbers-wise, the worst team in this conference. They're the worst in KenPom. They're the worst in Torvik. Their defense is actually pretty solid, but offensively they really struggle. By far the lowest offense out of any team in this conference. So I'm going to take Murray State. I think they can get past the first round pretty easily here. Evansville just not much going for them. UIC Valpo, kind of same thing. I think UIC is better than Murray State. Valpo's probably better than Evansville, but not by really that much. Again, just nothing really stands out about them. They're 13-18, so I'm going to take UIC. I think they can get to the next round. Again, just nothing really special about Valpo here this year, and they're typically not that great as well. But yeah, I think UIC can get it done. They got a top 200 defense, almost top 150 offense in KenPom. They actually play at a pretty fast pace as well, so I don't think Valpo really has the firepower to keep up, I guess you could say. Moving on to back to the top, though, Drake versus Indiana State. Now, at first glance, you'd say Drake pretty easily. They've been the leader in this conference all season and one of the best mid-major teams all season. But you look closer, Indiana State just recently, I think, played Drake pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana State went out and won this game just because of how fast they play. Like I said, they're like 8th in pace in all of college basketball. The problem with Drake is they are the exact opposite. They're one of the slowest paced teams in all of college basketball. Actually, I think they are they are the slowest team according to KenPom, and Torvik, they're also very close to the bottom. So with Drake, I think the matchup favors them. Clearly, I mean they're clearly the better team here. I don't love Indiana State's chances. Drake's got a top 60 defense almost, top 80 offense. I think they get past Indiana State. Although maybe if Indiana State can force Drake to play their way, maybe, but Drake has played slow all season, so I don't really know how much truth there is in that and how possible that really could be. Belmont versus Illinois State. This is one of the harder matchups to predict in this whole tournament. Just out of any game I'm predicting. These two teams are very, very evenly matched. I'm not sure who actually ended up taking the regular season series, but I will say, again, both these teams very similar. They tend to lean a little bit more offensive. than defensive. I think I think Illinois State won in the regular season, if I'm not mistaken. It was a very close game. I think they only played once. Um, I think Illinois State gets them again. I think it's going to be, again, a very close game, but I think Illinois State, with that win over Missouri State, kind of getting a little bit of a warm up game in there. I think they can carry that momentum in. Belmont will have had some time off. Now, both these teams have kind of, I believe, like both these teams have lost, or sorry, both these teams have been pretty solid to end the season. 4 out of the last 5, kind of deal. But I don't know. I think these teams are so evenly matched. I think Illinois State can shoot a little bit better, and I think that gives them the slight edge in this one. Bradley versus Missouri, not Missouri. Bradley versus Murray State. Speaking of shooting, Bradley is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. I'm going to take them pretty easily over Murray State. They also beat Drake at one point in the season, so Bradley's definitely a contender in this conference. Don't count out them. And then Northern Iowa taking on UIC. Who do I got in this one? I'll keep it short and simple. I think Northern Iowa is pretty clearly better here. I just think, with UIC, yes, they're actually much better than they typically are. I feel like they're usually at the bottom of this conference. So I guess props to them for having such a good year. But Northern Iowa, from everything I'm seeing, is pretty clearly the third best team in this conference. And they're not too far behind Bradley in a lot of metrics as well. So I think they can get past UIC. Not too worried there. And I will say, I mean, UIC is behind Murray State for whatever that's worth. But again, not a bad team. But I think Northern Iowa is just better both sides of the ball, and I think they've proved that throughout the season. Drake versus Illinois State. Can Illinois State continue their kind of a little bit of a run? I mean, not really. They've only won 2 games. I think Drake wins this one. I honestly feel better about Drake beating Illinois State than Indiana State, just because last time they played Indiana State was very close. Indiana State definitely could have won that game, and just the pace they play just gives them a higher chance, I think, of pulling an upset. Illinois State, I'm not too worried about them beating Drake. I think Drake can get to the championship game there. Yes, their offense is better than Indiana State's, but they're not a fast-paced team whatsoever. And, like I said, Drake is actually the slowest team in all of Division One, and their offense is better as well than Illinois State. Well, maybe not better, but even, I would say. So I think Drake can get to the championship game here. I'm really not that worried about them. I think they're pretty clearly at least a top 2 team in this conference. I think over the season they've been the best. That's pretty obvious. But you never know. I think they get to the championship game though. Then we look at the 2 versus 3, Bradley versus Northern Iowa. Now, I actually switched my pick on this a couple times. Both these teams, like I said, very even. Bradley definitely has the edge offensively, but I think Northern Iowa may be a little bit more well-rounded. I like their defense a little bit more. But when you look at it a little bit more, Bradley's defense really isn't that much farther, worse than Northern Iowa's. They're actually pretty similar. And I think Bradley, just shooting-wise, I think they can knock down some big shots. Like I said, one of the best shooting teams in all of Division One. I believe they split in the regular season. Both these teams kind of dominated at home. So third time around at a neutral site, this will definitely be a fun one to watch. But I think Bradley gets it done. Again, I'm looking for an edge here. They're very even. I think Bradley offensively and shooting-wise, that's just, that's the edge I'm looking for. So I will take Bradley to the championship game to get Drake once again. And like I said, Drake 27-3, but one of those losses is to Bradley. They are definitely not invincible in this conference. They split. Both these teams won on the road against each other, so this will be for all the marbles, I guess you could say. Now, a lot of people are saying Drake may not have an auto bid. I honestly don't know if they will. I think they've done enough to get an at-large bid. but a lot of people are saying they may need to win this conference. I think they should be in. The bubble's so weak this year. They're 27-3. I feel like they've done enough. I think honestly, if they get here, I think they should be fine. But if you're Drake, you're trying to leave no doubt. You're trying to win. Obviously, you want to win your conference, but more importantly, maybe in the eyes of some people, you want to get into the tournament. So I think Drake goes out there in the third game against Bradley, gets some revenge from last game. I mean, maybe Bradley has a really good shooting night. Um, that's definitely in the cards. I mean, like I said, Bradley's beat him, and this is definitely a fast-paced versus slow-paced type of ordeal. Um, Bradley top 100 offense, but I mean, you look at Drake, their offense actually ranks ahead of Bradley in efficiency, and defensively they are just way better. It's not even close. I think Drake wins this conference. I think they've been the best team all year, in this conference at least. And I think they get their revenge from over Bradley. Um, I think Drake does it. I think they get the auto bid out of this conference, which means this conference will only get one bid. If Bradley, I think Bradley definitely has a chance. If Bradley does get in, I think Drake will still get a bid, but I'm not too sure. I wouldn't say it's 100%. But I think Drake wants to go out there, leave no doubt, and I think they do that. Just that. I think they win the Missouri Valley, the Arch Madness tournament, the pre-March Madness kind of thing. This is one of the best mid-major conferences, obviously. But that is going to do it for the predictions. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you go on there, subscribe. Like I said, we're doing all 31 conference tournaments right here on this channel. Thank you so much for the support on these. Comment down below what your thoughts are on this conference. Do you got Drake like most people? They seem to be the favorite pretty clearly, but or do you got Bradley? Or is it somebody else? Let me know down in the comments. But I think it's probably either Drake or Bradley here. But yeah, with all that being said, make sure you subscribe, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. Like this video if you enjoy. But I will see you guys next time with another conference tournament prediction video.